Greetings, people of the greater world! Broadcasting live from the Academy at the largest library in the known realms, this is Storytime Q&A, a Realm Jumper talkback show. Well, this show has really become a thing. There are now 2 episodes. Speaking of episodes, today we're going to be discussing episode 2 of Realm Jumper. We have Juno, our art director.
Hello, hello.
And we have Midnight, one of our writers, and the voice of Jen.
Hello. Yes.
Do you guys just want to introduce yourselves? Like, get into a little more detail on what your job is.
So I'm Midnight, or MidknightBlue, as my username would suggest. I am the voice actor for Jen. I have been typecast by my friends as the nerdy scientist. That's ironic. Mildly, because I am a geologist, IRL. I am a scientist.
It sure is accurate.
Sure is accurate to my mental state at any given time. I'm generally someone who hangs out around the spaces. I know I have gotten to know Bubbly very well over the past year, and B and June are old friends of mine. I also play Razara in Parallel to Anywhere. You should watch that. Shameless self-promotion. And yeah, my pronouns are she, her.
Neat. I'm Juno, he, they. I am friends with all these idiots, and one night in call, Bubbly was like, wow, here are my cool characters that I've been coming up with in my brain. And I was like, they would be really fun to draw. And so I doodled, ironically enough, Oliver. Oliver was the first character that I drew. Just a silly little doodle of like, here, bestie, here's your little blorbo. And then Bubbly said, psych, I'm making it a real show and you're art director now. So
that is what I feel, because the way I got recruited to being a writer is that I'm one of the people who harassed Bubbly to info dump about Realm Jumper, and then I got the info dump, and B was very quickly decided to be another writer, and I went, B, it was really cool. Maybe I haven't written in a while. Maybe could I? And B goes, do you want me to ask Bubbly? And I was like, yeah, but she can take her time. Don't worry. She should probably think about it. B brought it up to Juno, and 2 seconds later, I had Bubbly in my DMs giving me the link for the cast server. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, right, because I forgot the writers got to join before any of the cast.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, I guess I'm a writer now. Cool.
Oh.
And that was before I was cast as Jen too, so.
So, yes, I guess from that, I'm trying to think, it's like, technically that means that Juno is the first person to have created content and or fan art for Realm Jumper in some regard. And I think there's another particular story that I kind of want to pull out of you because I love this story surrounding one very serious detective. You're responsible for one character trait of Ryder. What is that? What is that character trait? You're responsible for this.
The very important character defining trait of Ryder, the fact that he is a cat boy, was my decision. You're welcome.
It was all Juno, ladies and gentlemen.
Bubbly, when the original info dump was happening, the characters were all just Picroos. And Bubbly was like, I don't know if I want to make him a human or some kind of like cat boy or something. This Picroo has cat ears, and I was like, make him a cat boy. You must. And that was before I knew it was ever going to be a show, so you're welcome.
And that means, Juno, you are uniquely qualified to answer the question. How many ears does Ryder have?
Oh, God. He does have Schrodinger's catboy ears, so if his ear does cover where his human ears would go, so you can't tell, but I am of the opinion that just the 2 ears, just the 2 cat ears in general.
Okay.
For your fantasy creatures, that makes more sense to me personally. But if you want to draw a cursed rider with human ears, I can't stop you.
Put that energy into the world. Oh no. Okay, I guess question for Midnight. What is the biggest struggle you find when writing characters that aren't yours? And if there is one, of course.
Uh, I know this is something well, I'm about to go on a long anecdote. So back when I took English courses, this is in high school, I took a creative writing course, and my teacher would always talk to me that there was two main, I guess, theories or not ideologies, theories about writing characters. Either you take examples, from internally, from yourself, the emotions that you experience and the things that you feel, and you can put those into your characters, or you can take examples from other people. My teacher told us a story about a French writer a long time ago. I forget his name, and I forget the story he wrote, but he wrote a pretty sad tragedy about a woman in France at the time who was basically caught. She was like a 20-year-old who had married like a 60-year-old, kind of arranged marriage sort of thing, and just the whole thing is this exploration of French society at the time and how trapped this lady feels. And everyone wanted to know the gossip. They were always asking, "Who's Madame?" Whatever her name was. I think it started with an F. Who is Madame? Who is this lady? Who is this lady? Who is this lady? And one day the author got so mad, he turned around to the person who asked him. He yelled, "I am her. It's me," because he had experienced the kind of like being trapped and oppressed by society, and he had written that into her. And it didn't matter that she had a very different situation from him. He felt the same way. He felt trapped and he couldn't escape, and as helpless as she was. All that is to say, the biggest struggle I find with writing a character that isn't mine is sometimes it's harder to find the emotion to that they're feeling to write them, because I tend to go for that side of the writing. My characters are all sort of reflections of me in different forms, taken to extremes, taken in different places, different things. All of them are based on emotions I personally experience, but all that sort of stuff. So I find the biggest struggle is to connect emotionally with some of the characters.
From your experience, I guess this is a question that sort of relates to this, is like,
Mm-hmm.
what character do you relate to the most, and what character do you relate to the least? And how do you go about writing the character you relate to the least?
Certainly the character I relate to the most is Jen.
Okay,
Wow,
I guess.
awesome.
Absolutely
Okay,
zero
I guess
anyone's
I was like,
surprise.
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I like Jen a lot. I get into her head, and it's really easy for me to get into her head because I voice act her. And that goes hand in hand, actually. Getting to speak as her means I get to get into her head a lot easier. Um, One of the harder characters to write for me, Cassie and Claire, for sure. I haven't actually written them yet, which is part of the problem. Like I haven't written them yet. I sometimes find Luther a little bit difficult. Just to get in his head. Then I just have to remember that to be a pathetic man, and then I get there.
Be a sad, pathetic man who constantly tries to ship his students.
Yes. Yep. Yep. I just have to channel my inner pathetic man. He's
Amazing.
in
We
there
all have
somewhere.
deep down.
We all have him deep down.
Oh man.
But no. That is the biggest struggle, is finding where the characters land emotionally for me. You're gonna have with three different writers so far. There might be more. Figure guns. Um, but each character, each writer is going to have a different grasp of different characters emotionally, and that's why it's really important for all the writers to get into calls and talk about all of the characters together. Because I would write, certainly some characters would be even harder for me to write if I didn't get help from my other writers to kind of get into their heads and understand where the characters are all at emotionally. So that's why we have big long writers meeting calls that stretch into the wee hours of the morning where we figure out shit.
It's totally not just memes.
We don't meme all the time. It's not all memes. It's mostly memes. Don't tell Polly I said that.
It's okay. She doesn't watch these.
No, she doesn't watch these. But no, that's really one of the strengths of having multiple writers, especially with such a big cast, is that we all get into different characters' heads emotionally, and we can help each other write the characters, which is a lot of fun.
moving over to Juno, so you're the art director.
Yes.
What's that like? Are there any, like, challenges? Like, there are a lot of artists on this show, and all of them are absolutely amazing, and I love
Yeah.
personally, I love the mesh of art styles that the show, like, gets to showcase,
Oh,
but, like,
absolutely.
are there any, like, challenges that come with that? And, like, I guess also, like, from that, like, what are some of the best parts about it?
Best parts, like you sort of alluded to, how many different artists that we have, just from like so many different styles and like ages and skill levels, and like everyone's in different places in life. Some people have like already graduated, some people are in school, some people are like starting to like get into high school, not even into high school, sorry, into like art school and stuff. And it's just very interesting to like, work together and sort of help each other through stuff. We have a chat where we all post the work in progress of how things are going, and it's fun to like if someone asks for a critique of like, oh, how can I like improve the lighting in this image, then we all like put our heads together and figure it out. And that sort of collaborative effort I think is really fun. Hard parts, honestly, I wouldn't even say this is hard, but just the most work I have to do is whenever we get a new script in, Bubbly and I and the writer, if they're around, have to go through the script and figure out where all the art pieces are. And we want to put like 25 art pieces in order to make the full episode. We can't do that. That's too much work. And so we just have to like cut down and say like, oh, can we reuse pieces here? Or like, how can we work to make this image stretch for the entire scene? We're still in the early episodes. That becomes more prevalent later on. At this point, I think we're still like figuring out our footing. But yeah, that I think is the, most work I have to do. Since everyone is kind of doing their own pieces, it's not like a typical show production where there's like a style guide or a specific color palette you have to use or anything like that, where the art director is like breathing down your neck. I mostly just give people their prompts and yell at them if people don't turn stuff in on time. That's basically all I do. I also get to come up with character designs or if there's anything that we do need a reference for.
I guess we can talk about that. So the writers get a month to write their script. The artists get a month to do their art prompts at the same time the voice actors doing the VAing. And then there's a certain amount of time afterwards for the editor. So it's roughly a 3-month per episode turnaround.
Mm-hmm. That is if things go according to plan. That fluctuates.
Yes.
That's if things go perfectly
that's
to
the
plan.
Goal.
No, but yeah, like we have like I think like yeah, episode 3 is completely done at this point. I guess we can get to some of the more episode specific ones. Let's talk about Midnight.
Yeah.
The second episode is a murder mystery. How was that? Murder mysteries are notoriously complicated to write, or just mysteries in general. So it's like, how is that for the second episode?
I mean, I did it to myself. Like, I literally suggested that in order to introduce the noir trio, that would be Oliver, Jen, and Ryder. A murder mystery works really well to introduce the 3 of them. However, I sure did panic about it for 3 weeks. That is one of the things I genuinely did research for. I knew that in order to be able to, because of course the murder mystery is not the main focus of the episode. It's the plot, but the focus is introducing Ryder, Jen, and Oliver and their dynamic, which is actually the more important part of the episode. And because we're laying the groundwork for later on in the season, this is your first time really interacting with those 3 characters. So I knew the murder mystery had to not be very important, but also it still had to be what they were talking about. So I knew that a closed door mystery was probably going to be the easiest one for me to handle, because everything is contained within the one room. I don't have to describe anything more than that. I don't know if anyone noticed this. I didn't even have to name any of the characters involved in the mystery. They are all unnamed. But I genuinely did do research. I looked up a bunch of guides on how to write closed door mysteries. There's actually, I didn't know this, it's a very old book, but there was someone who actually wrote a step-by-step guide for all the different possibilities of a locked door mystery. And he just literally listed out all of the possibilities of what it could be and how everything could work. This is a resource I found just through Googling and doing some research. And so I put the mystery together like that, basically using that as the framework. I picked the option that I wanted, and then I built it from there. And I find as you write a murder mystery, things fall more into place. I wasn't sure how the pharmacist had killed the victim until I was writing it. That's why should I admit my own flaws?
Up to you.
Doesn't 100% make sense. She dropped the pill into the thing, and then I said it was water soluble. But how does that still delay the anaphylactic reaction? Because I made a mistake. The pill was in there, and she just drank it, and I said it dissolved because I was literally writing it. But yeah, that was the intended. I literally wrote that as I was writing the episode. Just how would someone cause an allergic reaction delayed? Well, you put it in a pill. I leaned heavily on my own knowledge, just generally of medicine. But yeah, if it was certainly difficult, but I enjoy challenges. I just also cry about them. But yeah, I definitely took shortcuts to make it a lot easier on myself as well. So yeah, the important part is knowing where to take shortcuts, where to do research, and to know what you can do and what sounds plausible and what isn't.
Okay. I'm surprised this wasn't a question that was asked. Juno, you're the one that's responsible for putting together the crime board.
Oh, yes.
People have made a comprehensive breakdown of what he thought everything on the crime. Like, it was like everyone loves a crime board. How much do you want to talk about the crime board?
There are, I will say, there are season and also entire series spoilers hidden in that corkboard. I will not tell you what they are, but they sure are there.
They sure are there.
Yes, they sure are there.
How the corkboard worked is we knew we needed to have a detective corkboard. I am not a writer, but I do get to listen in on the writer meetings. We had some stuff that we needed to have on the corkboard specifically for the, actual murder investigation that Ryder was doing, because, that was plot important. But we also realized that we had the opportunity to have some fun. There was a list. I was given a list of stuff that I needed to include in the corkboard.
Yep, that was written by me. I had a whole list for Juno.
There's a lot of stuff in there. But then I also got to throw some fun things in.
Oh yeah, there's like some P2A. There's some P2A stuff in there.
Vega sure is in the center of the corkboard.
Had you just drawn that art piece when you actually
I did. That book had just come out when this was happening, and we're like, oh, this is gonna be funny promo for B's book. This episode sure did come out like 6 or 7 months later.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like Sleepy's cat Oliver is on the corkboard.
I was gonna say Oliver the cat is there. There's so many things. My favorite bit is the fact that because it's Ryder's corkboard, every person has cat ears and whiskers.
Wait a second, that's a thing. Hold on. They all have cat ears. I didn't notice this.
Even Charlie Day in the bottom right hand corner.
Charlie Day has cat ears.
Charlie Day. I think I recognize that. I thought that was just like a reference to the fact that Ryder was also in basically the same position, just
he
mirrored.
Is in the exact same.
One that my mom picked up because my mom watches this apparently. Is one of my favorites is just Ryder is just the little like note saying, "Why is Oliver following me all the time?"
He's gay, and he is like, that boy's cute. I'm gonna follow him while he's on this super cool murder investigation. Like, that's a good idea.
Like the wing feather on there as well. Oh man, I love this entire thing and the unintentional canonizing of Blarley.
Yeah. God. Sorry, all Blarley's accidentally canon.
I hate this. My favorite part is the actual world lore that is hinted on this thing, and I mean the magic system is hinted on this corkboard.
Yeah. The magic system's talked about a little bit in this episode.
Yeah.
We got some fun questions from Queen Creeps. and I guess this is more to Midnight because Midnight's always in the room where it happens, with Luther and Gil coming from the same world but arriving at the school at the different times, who arrived first and what was their reaction when the other eventually followed? No, I don't know if the reaction bit is a spoiler or not.
I can probably talk about this. So, Gil, it is canon, arrived at the school first, and then Luther. Yeah, the reaction when the other eventually followed, they were very happy to see each other. Luther was very happy to see Gil. I can say that probably. Yeah, shit was going down.
Yep.
Shit went down. That's about all I can tell you. We'll find out.
Find out. From there, we have. Oh yes, the storybooks are talked about a lot in this episode.
Yes, this is actually the introduction to the storybooks, which is another bullet point I had to hit in this episode. I had to do a bunch of world lore in this episode.
So we are also given a ton of like potential options to the storybooks, and just like a wall of storybooks.
Mm-hmm.
And this begets the question: what would your storybook title be? Okay,
so B asked this a while ago, and I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it some more. I don't have a good answer.
Fair.
If I was being pedantic, I could probably say that I have something very similar to Jen and Gale. I have The Scientist, would make a lot of sense for me. That is literally Jen's title. It's a really difficult question, because the storybooks describe you as you are. You do not get to choose your storybook title.
Yeah, the cop-out would probably be the artist, but I don't even know if that's correct.
I mean, I could get deeply personal and say the Lost and just leave that up to your interpretation.
Currently the Tired.
Valid.
But I probably something along the lines of The Theater Kid. But though I wasn't a theater kid, that's the thing. In high school, I wasn't a theater kid.
You have the vibes of a theater kid. You don't have to participate in theater to be a theater kid, Austin. It was down there in your heart.
Now I do participate in theater, but I'm no longer a theater kid. I'm a theater adult.
You have graduated. You have bloomed.
Let's go with The Unready. Actually, I really like The Unready as a moniker.
Ugh, I don't know. I sure did have like a week to come up with something and sure didn't think about it.
Sure didn't. I think final answer, I'm going to say the geologist. We'll be a little more specific. I'm not a scientist, I'm a geologist. Get it right.
Rocks.
Please DM me cool rocks. I will never be unhappy if you DM me cool rocks.
Rocks. So, this is the introduction to the Noir Trio.
Mm-hmm.
Any comments on that? I love Oliver. I love Oliver so much, but I would like your comments.
Listen, I am partial to Jen.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like the Noir Trio. I think they work really well. They fulfill an important role in the story.
Hey. Let's leave it at that.
I'm censoring myself there. They're just very important to me, personally.
I have a question.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
We joked about this, but I don't think we said it on recording. This is the bird call. We sure do have the bird siblings here. What?
This is the bird siblings and the crow. That's your storybook title.
The crow. Wonderful. We answered a question with me explaining a different question. But as far as the two of you, how is it like being siblings?
This is such a weird thing because I have not interacted with Midnight that much. I just haven't.
It makes me sad.
It's such a weird thing, and like it works. Like we are very like it. I've gotten like comments from Bubblies like, "Oh yeah, you guys are doing this very well." It's just so weird because like it's not like we had that like how early on when you, Sleepy, and Spy got in a call and ad-libbed the son of a Selkie monologue.
Yeah. I have known Spy for a little bit. I don't actually know how long. That's why I'm staring over myself. It's probably over a year. So yeah.
As long as Realm Jumper is nothing.
Well, no, I knew Spy before Realm Jumper.
Jumper's almost a year old, my friend.
Stares off into the distance. 1,000-yard stare. I mean, I do want to get into a call of banter siblings more because they are dear to me. I will say that it does sometimes help me to write Oliver to imagine you saying it.
Oh man, it's like Oliver's not my normal voice. It's such a weird. It's like it is fascinating. I am surprised I'm able to keep that like voice without hurting myself. Like,
please don't hurt yourself.
No, it's like it is like it's not that much different when you really dissect it, but it is different enough.
And then Jen just has my good old Pacific Northwest accent. It's almost like I can't do any voices.
No, it's just the monotone of, oh my god, I don't know. I can't think.
You're fair, but just the contrast of monotone and then overly dramatic is always a fun dynamic.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
And yeah, and like part of that, I mean, a lot of it's the writing. It's like just like a lot of the way I record lines is very weird. I think it is, at least. I don't know. I basically record my lines in a vacuum. I only do like a read of the script and then I just scan through my lines and then I just read them one by one.
That's fair.
I mean, I know the episodes a little better because, especially for episode 2, I definitely sure did all my lines.
Oh yeah,
I wrote them.
yes.
But I did the exact same thing when I control F and skip down through and record my lines. But yeah, it makes me happy to know that it comes through, just the vibes.
Yeah, I like not knowing anything. I like watching the episodes. Like I like just like viewing like when we get to a future episode, that when we get to the D&D episode, there's a B plot.
There sure is a B plot in the D&D episode. It's almost like he wrote it. But is that fun? Am I deflecting? Who knows? Not you fuckers.
I was thinking of the same joke, I just didn't know how to phrase it, but good job.
Midnight.
Hi.
As a writer of these scripts, how much do you giggle to yourself when writing these scripts? On today's sub episode of What Jokes from This Episode Do You Really Like? Starring Midnight. What jokes do you like from this episode?
I'd have to read over the script again. There were some really great lines from Oliver and Jen bantering together right in the beginning that made me genuinely laugh.
Genuinely.
Oh god, no! I got that way too late.
I get one too.
The Ryder Jen interactions made me laugh really hard. They're so sassy.
They hate each other.
They hate each other's guts. I would like to fillet
Wonder
the
why.
I love that Jen just calls him the cat. It's the funniest thing to me.
It's so awful.
Oh jeez.
To answer your question, if your own joke doesn't make you laugh, then it sure isn't a good joke. So I laugh at all my own jokes. I will say that in my personal opinion, I am the weakest writer when it comes to comedy. It is often that B and Bubbly bantering together, or me or all of us bantering together will actually come up with funny jokes for the episode, and we write down those bits and then put them into the episode. A lot of the jokes are actually made with just B, Bubbly, this isn't a spoiler. Who the writers are isn't a spoiler, right?
No, it's not.
No, okay.
There are credits in the back of the episode.
Yeah. The other 2 writers who haven't shown up yet are Anne and Loyal. So when all of us are in a writer's meeting or in a call, sometimes just us bantering and just making fun of the characters and each other will come up with the best jokes for the episode. I guess it's very rare for me that I come up with fantastically funny jokes while I'm writing the episode. That my better jokes are probably ideas borrowed from my fellow writers.
Is there anything that you can take credit for?
I mean, yeah. The very first joke of the episode where Luther sasses Charlie about being a damsel in distress, that was me, and I like that.
Oh
That
man,
is a good
Luther's
joke.
pose in that art. Oh my god.
It's great.
So
Um,
sassy.
it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, we all balance and go off each other. I am the one who has to write anything science related.
Mhm.
So if there's a scientific part in an episode, it's probably me who's like ghostwriting it.
Considering you're the science character, it makes sense that you write the technobabble.
Yeah, it is me writing the technobabble a lot of the time.
Mhm.
Though Spy, I think
Spy role plays a lot. Spy and I will go back and forth a little bit with Gil's lines, but for a lot of the technobabble, for sure for all of the other characters and for Gil too, it is me writing this.
Spy's really good at riffing. He's really good at riffing.
Yeah, he's yeah, he certainly is.
Mhm.
I guess we all have different senses of humor. Some of the deadpan jokes in episode 2 are definitely all me. I like deadpan jokes.
I appreciate a good deadpan joke.
But yes, to answer the question, I guess properly and succinctly, yes, they do make me giggle because I have to laugh at my own jokes. Otherwise, they really are. If I don't laugh at my own joke, it's not a funny joke. And then sometimes you just get into the flow of writing, and you do just write something really fucking funny. You're like, damn, I'm funny.
I know comedy arts majors with less confidence than you. This is you have you the fact that you are extremely confident in your comedy writing is in your like writing in general is a skill that I wish I had. I cannot be confident in that regard.
Hey, it's all practice. Yeah, you got this.
Imposter syndrome is a hell of a drug. And with that note, I believe that is the end of this episode of Storytime Q&A. Thank you so much for joining us. The next episode of Realm Jumper comes out on April 22nd. That is a Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much for joining me, Juno at Midnight.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Okay, let's kill the bot again.